As investors, we need deals, but in order to get deals, we have to talk directly to property owners. You're gonna have the skill set to figure out who owns anything when you're done with this video. The best part is your research will work anywhere in the United States, and what you want to know is free. For the sake of this example, I'm literally just going to pull up Google Maps, zoom in on a random address that we've not like pre-picked or anything, and track down who the owner is. For this video, we're in Google Maps. I'm in Des Moines, and I'm just going to scroll in and pick a random property that looks to me like it might need some work done to it and track down who the owner is in real time. So we've got this place here, which let's assume you drive past every day and it's killing you. You're like, man, who owns that thing? I gotta know. Shoot, this example even has like county papers taped to the front. Some sort of like a stop order or permit thing would be my guess. Also looks like it comes with a vacant lot. So we're gonna go back and we've got 818 East 25th Court. The first free tool that we're gonna use to find who owns this place is the county assessor site. So if you just literally Google like your county plus property search or assessor, you're gonna find something like this. When I go to this first one, it takes me to literally this document search portal. Now with some of these, like San Diego, for instance, is kind of dumb and they won't tell you who the owner is. They'll give you everything else but that. But if you pay them, it's like $8 or $12, they'll give you the info. Don't do that. I'm gonna show you what to do if you're into that. But this right here will work in most markets in the US. So this property is at 818 East 25th Court. We're going to copy that, come over to the assessor here, paste that in, tap perform search, and it's going to pull up the assessor property card. So this tells us all kinds of interesting stuff. It even gets into like how it's zoned, beds, baths, square footage, year built, even like what they paid. Now to protect the channel, we do have to blur any names or addresses so we don't get accused of doxing. But this particular property, we can see who owns it. And we can also see where their tax billing address is. So that's a good clue to follow. If the property address doesn't match the tax billing address, that means the person who owns it is likely an investor. This one's actually perfect for our example because it's owned by an LLC. So we can see this is owned by Empire Real Estate Investment LLC. If you run into an LLC, I'm going to show you real quick what to do with it. So if we go to OpenCorporates.com, you have to create a free account, but you literally punch in the company name and what market it's in. Sometimes it's possible the LLC will have like a tax billing address in a different state. You would just pick that state. But this one, if we go back and look, is also in Des Moines. So as we go to Open Corporates, we're gonna hit go on this sucker, and we can see there's one that pops up, and we can see that the company was set up by a gentleman named Nicholas Lianos, and we also have a mailing address for him. What I always do with those addresses is go into Google and just take a look at it. And we can see this is just a normal house. Now, if this was some sort of a high rise, or it said it was set up by like an attorney, that's what's called a registered agent. Those are pretty difficult to get around. I'll show you something in one of our free trial tools that you can use to find that. But in this instance, I'm comfortable stating this property is owned by that individual who owns that LLC. That's what you do if you run into an LLC. We're going to get to finding contact info in a second. That would also work for this gentleman. But for the sake of just keeping things a little bit more simple, let's go back to Des Moines. And we're going to find an example that's not owned by an LLC to show you guys how that works as well. We're going to look for one that, looks like it might have something going on with it. So like a tarped pool or a bunch of abandoned cars. Let's go this guy here. Cool. So this one, clearly they're doing some renovation work too. It's likely it's already been remodeled at this point, but we'll still use the address for the example. So we're going to take that address. We're going to go back to our assessor site, and we're going to enter in the new address. Awesome. And we can see that this property is owned by a gentleman named Gregory, and his tax billing address is that property. So this would be an example of we've now figured out who owns this house that some work's getting done to, right? Hey, I'm curious who's behind that project. Now, if your assessor doesn't work, or if you're also interested in finding phone numbers, we're going to get to that now. First thing we hit was the Assessor. Next, we're going to do free tools. After that, we're going to do paid tools that offer free trials. And then we're going to do more pay per search if you're really trying to find contact info for one specific individual. To keep things simple, we're going to use that same property address for the rest of our examples. We're going to go to truepeoplesearch.com, go over to address, hit enter. Make sure we're in Des Moines, hit go, and there we go. This first one here is Greg. Now when I click on this, again, gonna have to blur some details to not get in trouble here. Click verify that I am indeed a human. And not only do we have his property address, but we also have his phone number. We scroll down, I've also got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different emails. Pro tip, I once had somebody I was trying to track down because I needed them to release a mortgage. It was a private lender. We just hit all of the emails in a BCC and we got what we needed. Now, I do think we should point out, you can also search by name if you know somebody but don't know the property that they're at. You can also search by phone number. So for those of you guys that are dating, you get a text from somebody, you can look and see like, is that really this person? Or, you know, are you talking to some dude? Cool. As an alternate tool, FamilyTreeNow works very similar. So you can do by name plus city and state, by phone number, like we mentioned, or you can go to address and punch that in. If we hit in Des Moines, we can see that we've got some basic information on the property, what they bought it for, you know, if you're nosy, all that kind of stuff. We can also see that Greg owns this. If we click on Greg, we can also see that they've got what year he was born, what age they think he is, some phone numbers. All of that's free, as well as previous addresses. One thing that's ninja here too, if we dig down a little bit, we can also find like other potential relatives or next of kin that exists on both of these. So for instance, let's say somebody passed away, you could use this to track down potential heirs. Up next, we're gonna check out 2 different tools that I pay for and use all the time in my real estate investing business. Not only can I look up one-offs like this, I can also pull bulk lists based off of kind of property the person has or things they have going on. Like maybe they tried to sell it on the MLS and it didn't. The first one is PropStream.com. All we're going to do is paste our address in here in the top. Click on the one that's in Des Moines. Then we're going to click on details. We can see here, not only does Gregory own this place, but also all kinds of details about the property. We can even go over to the MLS. We can see what he paid. Can literally even see what real estate agents were involved in the transaction and their contact info. So maybe none of those phone numbers worked. Well, you can try the agent that was involved in listing or selling them the house. Can literally even go over to like mortgage and transaction history and see what did they borrow, who did they borrow it with, is their spouse on the deed, and what the lender was. This one's actually a little bit sad, but kind of shows like what we can see in public record. So it looks like Gregory and Evelyn owned this property, and then there was an affidavit of death of joint tenant. So somebody passed away and had to be taken off of title. And it looks like the property now is just in Evelyn's name. Now, when it comes to contact info, typically free data, like what you're going to find through True People Search or FamilyTreeNow, isn't necessarily going to be the most accurate. Now, I've used it tons of times. If you want to just test it, run your name, your property, see what comes back. But when you start to get into paid or on a free trial tool like Deal Machine, you're going to get a higher quality of data. So for the sake of this example, same thing. We're going to go in, punch in the address here. And we can see that we've got Gregory on the property. We've also got phone numbers as well as emails. So multiple ways to reach out. Also similar data to PropStream. The guy doesn't have any debt on it. The property was built in 1912. He's current on his taxes. They even get into some interesting things on like demographic stuff. They've got him at 53 years old, single, speaks English. He's been there for 9 years, doesn't own any other properties. He's an average spender, so he's not out there playing fast and loose, and sometimes he'll even have things like education and occupation. Both Deal Machine and PropStream do offer free trials of like 7 days. The only limit there is you can't export out lists, but you can run as many searches like that as you want. I'll drop links to the free trials below. Full disclosure, they are affiliate links, so if you use them, we might earn a commission. If you don't want us to get paid, totally cool. If you just go to their websites, dealmachine.com or propstream.com, I believe both of them have like a free trial button that you can click to get the same thing. Chances are that between the Assessor between True People, FamilyTree, PropStream, and Deal Machine, you're going to know who it is that is behind that particular property. Now, let's say that the information you're finding there as far as phone numbers and emails, though, isn't getting you in touch with the right person. At that point, you'd move into more what's called like skip tracing. So skip tracing is more tracking the individual, not the property, but it's great for finding contact info. I'm not going to do a crazy walkthrough on them, but both Spokeo as well as Skip Genie are skip tracing providers. Skip Genie is my favorite. They're more expensive. It is a paid membership and you do pay per search. I want to say they're like 50-ish bucks a month. Spokeo, I think, starts out at about $9 to $10 a month. They might have more data than like FamilyTree or True People Search, but Deal Machine likely is going to have similar or better quality data, and you don't have to pay per search. If we go back to that first property that was in the LLC, we can see who that registered agent was. Deal Machine has them as the likely owner, as well as a phone number and email. So instead of having to go through kind of those steps and tracking down, is this person the person or not? There you go. Now, it's worth pointing out that if the property isn't owner occupied, if it's vacant or it's a rental, some of those numbers that come up as associated to that address could be previous tenants, not the owner. So ideally, you're using something like PropStream, Deal Machine, or the Assessor to at least know the name of who you're looking for contact info for. But worst case scenario, you're just going to go through and call a few before you get the correct person. Oftentimes on rental properties, it's who the tenant is. So if for some reason you're not able to get in touch with the owner and you really want to buy that property, call the tenant and ask them to pass a message on. Thank you guys for taking the time to hang out with me. Hopefully this helps you find the owners of the properties that you want to buy. That's really kind of what we do around this channel, is we buy deals direct to seller, off market at deep discounts. If you want to learn how to find more deals, be sure to like and subscribe. Again, my name is Ryan Dossey. I'll talk to you guys next time.